Hello, it's Em here with another super random episode. This is a topic that has been on my mind for a while, and I definitely wanted to make sure to share this. And I feel like this is as good a time as any, so let's get into it. Um, I had mentioned in a few other episodes that I was recently taking a course to kind of sharpen some of my skills and to also hopefully use those skills in other areas as well. And so I took this course, and for this course I saved up so that I could pay for this in cash. And for me, I wanted to point this out because I'm a person who had graduated with before this course, I graduated with a lot of debt from post college, and I and it's something that whenever even in my current circle, if I hear people talking about college and things like that, I often will speak up about finding cost-effective ways to get the degree. So I know for me, when I approached college, I think the big thing for me was just I just need to get through these courses. I need to pass my courses. I need to and find a job. Those were the focuses. I admit my brain did not worry so much about the loan part because I was so sure that things would be okay when it came to getting a job. And I just don't think I realized how much the debt would just hover over my head at all times and literally haunt me. And no, for real, haunt me. Think about it, just random dreams and everything, but really, again, for me, 21-year-old me, my brain was, I said, just the focus was just to pass these classes, make this count. And it's interesting because I feel this is not something that I felt was talked a lot about when I was I think going through high school. I don't think this is something advisors really talked about. It's not something that, no, I didn't really. Yeah, a lot of advisors talked about this. In fact, the one memory I have of this being discussed is when I was with my I remember I was with a volleyball coach or something like that, or something like that in high school, and she was like, yeah, for school you take out the loans, and then yeah, you have loans, but at the same time, when you've got your job and you're paying down those loans, you feel like you really did it. And it's no, that's not how I feel. that's not how it felt. Basically giving my paycheck to the loans. And again, I want to say, for the record, I should have done more research and really thought about what these loans meant. But really, like I said, that just happened to not be my focus. And I know for me, that's something now I try to let, or kind of throw towards other people, hey, just so you know, loans haunted me, and I just don't want you to feel the same way. So for me, if I could give advice to 21-year-old me, don't go to a school that you can't just, for me, don't go to a school that you can't afford to just work your way through and pay down those loans, or just pay it off as you go. Or even short, small loans, I feel I could have even pulled off, but I went to a school where it just would require more loans. And another big mistake that I feel I made was I went with the housing that was recommended by the school. Wasn't thinking at all about that, and looking back at it is really embarrassing, but I'm saying it on here. I didn't think about it, and so I was paying way more money than I needed to for housing that wasn't even very good. And I could have found more cost-effective housing. Now I know how to do those things. Now I know how to find that, but I didn't think about it at the time, and so that obviously tacked on more to loan. And then in the meantime, all this interest stuff is just piling up, and I'm here just stressing about school again. focus was school. I know my brain at 21, I just know I was not mature enough for anybody to be handing me no loans. Like, and really, like, when I think about it, like, it really does bother me how much money is like loaned to students. Like, it's not about them being loaned money, and you know, everybody doesn't have their opinion about like, you know, what someone should be able to like take out. But at the same time, like, I just think it's crazy that some people aren't even like, don't even qualify for like a house, to get a house, but they can qualify to, you can get like, I mean, I seriously, there are plenty of people with like $100,000 loans and things like that. Like, and we're not talking even about like, I know there's some like some degrees, like I understand like it's just gonna be what it is. Like I know for like doctors, I think they take out crazy loans, but at the same time, like for that particular profession, like I think there's just like different things that have to go on. But for some other things, I know that there are cheaper ways. I know for me to have gotten where I wanted to go, or on the track of where I wanted to go, because I know like when I graduated, I had a tough time finding work. The job market was not what it was when I first went into school. And so, yeah, graduating, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like no job here for me. And I was applying for jobs for quite a while before I got one. It was like, well, yeah, for me, it was like 6 months. For me, it felt like a really long time, because of all that time, like that's when I became aware of those loans big time, because I just saw them just that interest just hitting me. And like, I really was desperate to get a job. So I ended up getting a job. It was nowhere near like paying what I thought I would be able to get paid. And that's really the reality of it. Like, and yeah, the reality is like what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. And I wish I had been a lot more objective. I was thinking so much about just what I wanted to do, which I think is important, but I was so busy focused on what I wanted to. I wasn't thinking about like what the market was open for and if this is the best way for me to get there. And so that's also something I try to like share with people. Like, is there another way to get where you want to be? And yeah, I ended up working with people who had cheaper ways. I mean, like more, they found a better way or to get to the exact same place I ended up to. And I think that's great. And I'd love to see more people, you know, doing that. I think that some of these college like rates are insane. And, I think it's kind of taking advantage of students. I really do. And again, like, we're just, you know, we're doing what we're told. It's not like not going to school. At least for me, not going to school to be lazy. You're just like, you're literally going to school to learn and contribute and all of that. And so it still blows my mind. But yeah, that's something that I do try to like note anytime I can. And I'm so curious as to what you think about school and college loans, if you're comfortable sharing about that. Yeah, I just realized, like, with these types of experiences, I feel like it's so important to share the experience and share and hopefully somebody can learn from what I would consider to be a mistake. Now, something that I did do that I was happy about, and I do think was helpful for me, was that I did make sure that I did internships for 2 years while in school. So like, I was getting experience that I know usually, like, when you graduate, they're like, we need you to have X amount of years of experience in order to get a job. And it's like, well, I was in school, so how do you expect me to have had experience? Like, I was going to school to qualify for this. And so like, I feel like internships really did help me. I don't know how much longer it would have taken me to find a job if I didn't have those experiences. Like, it was extremely important. So that's something else that I do. But like, yeah, like my approach, like, to like debt and things like that, just, and it is very, very different now. Like, even now, like, I drive a very practical car, and again, I'm not very bells and whistles flashy person anyway, but like, and I've actually, and seriously, outside of the loans, like, I actually usually I'm very conscious about my spending. Like I don't just spend just to spend. I usually try to think, is this going to be a good experience for me? Is this going to be good for my mind? Is this going to really, it's good. Is it good for my mental health? Is this going to make me happy? Is this going to contribute to something more like for future endeavor? Things like that. I try to keep all of that in mind when making a purchase. I kid you not, like that's usually something I keep in mind. The only thing I usually go a little crazy on is like going shopping for food in a grocery store. But honestly, that's really it. Even for when it comes to travel, I will not go into debt to travel. I will not, if I can't save up and afford it, or if I can't travel and work or something like that. Like I won't let myself go into debt for things like that. Like absolutely not. And it's something, yeah, but really I kind of was always like, I was always kind of like more conscious about money. I'm a foodie, so like I'm gonna spend money on food, but compared to other things that I could go crazy on, I think there are other craziest things like my motorcycle, but I also saved it for that as well. I bought a really cheap motorcycle. Like it was very cheap, and by cheap I mean my kind of like expensive. For me it was expensive, but it was actually very cheap. The cheapest motorcycle I think they've ever sold. And but like for me that was a huge moment for me, because like, yeah, when I got my motorcycle, it was the first thing, like first vehicle I ever like full out owned, like had the title and everything, and that did feel good. And but I really loved the experience of having my motorcycle. Like it meant a lot for me to ride it, to that's my baby. Motorcycle's name is Trevor. And although I don't have, he's not technically mine anymore, but but like that was a good moment. But again, like that took time, like so that I was saving very consciously for that, so I could do that, and it really did have great memories associated with it. And that's what I try to keep in mind when it comes to that. Like, how is this purchase going to pay off for me? So I try to think about, or for those around me too. Like, and in this situation with the motorcycle, actually, my brother rides it now, so it all works out. But anyway, that was a huge tangent. I want to thank you so much for watching this super random episode. Yeah, and like I said, I would love to get your comments and thoughts on this topic, very much so. So feel free to leave those below. I'll be back next week with another super random episode. So please, I messed that up. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will talk with you then. Bye for now.